This conversation is timed with a very important holiday, the celebration of Dr. King. And when you took on this role as Attorney General, I'm wondering if he was present on your mind, if you considered him, if you considered his struggle, if you were thinking about all those who came before you when you took on this role.
Oh, sure. I've never lost sight of the fact that whatever my personal qualities, I became Attorney General because of the sacrifices, the courage that others before me demonstrated, the commitment of Dr. King and the people who were his immediate family, I'll call them family, are responsible for this generation. You would not have Barack Obama but for Martin Luther King. You would not have Eric Holder but for Martin Luther King. So the celebration of this holiday, I think, is entirely appropriate because you would not have this nation, the nation that we now have, but for Martin Luther King. This is a better nation as a result of Dr. King's life.
You know, I find that that people in power sometimes literally keep a particular phrase or a portion of one of his speeches with them, you know, in a place where they can see it all the time. Sometimes it's a bus, sometimes it's literally words that he spoke that speak so much to them that they carry them with them. What would that be for you?
Well, that's easy. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. As the Attorney General of the United States, that's a phrase that I had in my office and a thought that I kept on my mind. When times got hard, when things seemed perhaps a little hopeless, I thought about the things that he had to face and the accomplishments that he made. And also there is that certainty that with commitment, with effort, with goodwill, the arc of the moral universe does bend towards that which is good, that which is just. A primary teaching of Dr. King, there's always been a guide for me.
And that certainty, that helped you get through some of the difficult times.
It doesn't mean that progress is linear. There are going to be stops, starts. There are going to be times when things don't progress at the pace at which you'd like. But at the end of the day, progress is always going towards the good.
You know, progress usually means moving forward, but there are some indices that suggest that that as a nation, and particularly for certain cohorts, things aren't moving forward. Graduation rates for young black males are not what most would hope that they would be. College entrance rates aren't what most would hope they would be. There's a very long list. Educational attainment, access to financial opportunities, home buying, even in your own realm, the number of FBI agents who are men of color or women of color has decreased. How do you process something like that, and what will you do in your next role to make sure that things keep moving forward?
Well, I don't think there's any question that our nation is different. It's better than it was during Dr. King's time, but we're not yet at the place where we need to be. There are those markers that you shared. If you look at homicide rates, if you look at graduation rates, if you look at incarceration rates, our nation is still not at the place where it can be, where it should be. And that only means that we have to commit ourselves to the principles of Dr. King. We have to be honest with ourselves. We can't, smother these problems in platitudes. You have to face some painful truths and ask some hard questions of us as a nation. I think Dr. King provides the answer to those questions and also provides the mechanisms to deal with the issues that we have to confront in the 21st century. He remade this country. He is, from my perspective, one of the founding fathers of the modern America. In some ways, I think maybe it's time for a third revolution. We had one in 1776, we had one in the 50s and the 60s. I think 50 years or so from that last revolution, it might be time for us to take stock of where we are as a nation and rededicate ourselves to the principles of Dr. King and come up with answers for our time.
Now, revolution is a word that makes people uncomfortable.
This is a revolutionary country. George Washington was a revolutionary. Benjamin Franklin was a revolutionary. They saw inequality, they saw an unjust system, and they resorted to revolution to produce the greatest country the world has ever known. Dr. King was a revolutionary. He saw a country that was not living up to its founding principles. He saw a people, though free, not truly free, and he made them free, African Americans. But he also freed the rest of this country as well from the bigotry, from the prejudice that for too long had ensnared us and retarded the progress that this nation was capable of. So when I say there's a need for yet another revolution, that is in the best traditions of what America is all about.
I often ask people to think about race and identity in short form. And so I'm wondering if you were to share your story, if you thought about race relations in America or your own expression of personal identity, how would you reduce that to one sentence that only had 6 words?
That only had 6 words. The struggle continues, progress is possible.
Attorney General Eric Holder, thank you very much.
Thank you.